Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow, and I am back with an all new video. Today's topic is a deep dive behind the veil energy read on infidelity. We are going to be exploring the reasons that both men as well as women cheat on their significant other and exploring some notable celebrity examples as well. Now, the way that this video is formulated is we're first going to be exploring the reason that men cheat, then looking at celebrities that have done so, and then we're going to be looking at the reason that women cheat as well. Now, I anticipate that this may be a topic that brings up some lively discussions as well as perhaps even debates, and I know that we are all just way too high vibe up here on this channel to express our opinions in any such a way that will be anything other than high vibe. And if there is any such comments that are not done in a high vibe and respectful manner, they will be taken down. You have been forewarned in advance. I'm also going to invite anybody that disagrees with what the guides have brought, share it. If you have a different perspective or a different opinion, I would love to hear it from you. This is just what the guides have brought me. Maybe your guides have brought you something different as well, and I invite a lively and respectful conversation if you feel called to participate in one. And with that in mind, let's dive in. So, why do men cheat? This is what was shown to me. Men cheat because they are missing something inside of themselves. Some fundamental piece of self or self-identity is not there, or it's a lack of integration of all pieces of a whole. So, for example, when somebody would use the following explanation to state why somebody has cheated, they may say that person did it because they lack emotional empathy. So what they are actually expressing is that it's emotional empathy that person is actually missing. However, the one thing that is not missing with any of the examples that I'm going to bring down below is not the so-called motivating factor that drives a man to look outside and to cheat, which is the sex. So look at the sex, if you will, as if it is a symptom of a disease, but it's not the disease itself. It's just the symptom. And in this case, it's the 3D manifestation of some behind the veil component that is driving it, but it's not actually a lack of sex. So what we are going to be exploring are what are the different, what are the different motivating behind the veil aspects that are being represented in a 3D manifestation of them actually seeking sex outside of their partnership. Because it's very much on a surface level, comes up as sex. But again, look at the sex as a symptom and not the disease. So what we are curious about is what is the underlying behind the veil explanation of what is being expressed in the 3D, sex. So this is what was shown to me. There are 3 different levels or 3 different so-called types of cheaters, which is another way of saying there are 3 different behind the veil components that are driving this 3D representation of extramarital or extra partnership affairs. Here they are. Number 1, it's just sex, stupid. Not it's stupid sex. It's just sex, stupid. So, this is the lowest basis expression experienced by a not too deep, not too intelligent, or not too intellectual man who will invariably say something stupid like he isn't getting any at home. But again, that's the 3D manifestation of a deeper cause. It's not the sex that's missing. He may not actually, in fact, be having sex at home. The question is why. So here's the thing. For anybody that's going to say something stupid like they aren't getting at home, as if that's an actual explanation for anything beyond the perpetrator's own mentally obtuse nature. My guides were very, very direct here, in case you couldn't tell. This is a case of those that do not know what they do not know, or that there's anything more to know than what they currently know. So to them, sex is just sex, and they aren't having any sex at home, so they go out to find sex. But again, the sex is the symptom, it's not the disease. So the disease in this case is that this is a man that has no connection with his wife or his partner, and therefore no intimacy. And why is there a lack of intimacy and a lack of a connection there? It is because this kind of man lacks a connection to themselves. So because they have no connection to their own self, there is no way for their spouse or partner to connect with them because there's no self to actually connect with. So they have no connection because they lack the ability to bond with another person. There's nothing to bond with, or there's no one to bond to. So that's the what is missing that is actually driving the cheating. It's a lack of intimacy in the relationship. And it's a lack of intimacy because there's nobody to be intimate with. They have no connection to they themselves. So there's no one for their partner to actually connect with either. This is the kind of offender that probably has also never made love to his wife or partner, nor looked into their eyes because they're not making love, they're just having sex. Probably because they were too busy looking in a mirror or just thinking about themselves while they were having sex with their partner. So this is the kind of person that lacks bonding because they probably never properly attached to a parent or a caregiver. And this is also, in case you were wondering, if you know about different attachment styles, this is also probably most going to be seen in an avoidant attachment style. Again, because they never had they never properly attached or bonded to their own parent or their own caregiver. So they're going to manifest as somebody that has an avoidant attachment style. Now here is an example of this kind of a cheater. This was shown to me as very much being the case between Adam Levine and Behati Prinsloo, his wife. Now, Adam Levine is the lead singer of a band called Maroon 5, and he has been married and has, at the time of his cheating, he had 2 with a 3rd baby on the way with his former Victoria's Secret supermodel wife, a woman by the name of Behati Prinsloo. Now, what was shown to me is that Adam was exposed as being a cheater. This is not what was shown to me. This is the 3D facts. Adam was exposed as being a cheater when an Instagram model had came forward and said they were having an affair. This was later corroborated by text messages between the two, and a host of wonderful and fantastic memes were born forth from it. Now, what was shown to me is that Adam loved, or at least it was his idea of what love actually meant, because again, this is the kind of person that actually cannot bond with another person. So he loved her to the only way that he understood what love was, which was not actually a very, very deep level of love, but a surface level of love. But he loved her, and he loved the 2 kids that they had. Now, because he really loves her and really loves their kids and their family, this is actually why he had no problem cheating on her. I know that sounds weird, right? It's like, well, I love my wife and kids, but I have no problem cheating on them. How does that work exactly? Here's how. He had no problem because it was just sex. And it didn't mean anything to him because the woman he was cheating with, or any of the women he had cheated with, didn't mean anything to him. She didn't mean anything to him. None of them meant anything to him. But Behati and the kids did. This is why Adam could deny cheating despite the evidence, because it really wasn't cheating if it was just sex, right? Because in his I'm going to self-edit all of the words that adjectives I was going to use to describe him. In his mind, it's just sex, so it doesn't count as cheating. Cheating is if you have like an emotional affair with somebody. This is somebody that's incapable of having an emotional affair. So therefore, the actual act of sex is cheating. He just didn't understand it as such because he can't grasp what actual intimacy means. So that's one example of the it's just sex, stupid kind of cheater. Now, the next reason or the next different type of cheater that there is the emotional cheater. This is the kind that may or may not actually include sex. But let's be honest here. If it involves men, it includes sex. So these are the men that will first befriend their cheating partner and will side up to them with all sorts of stories on how they are ignored or unappreciated at home, or maybe they are even being mistreated. So this is another that claims not to have what they need at home. But it's not sex, it's actually where they're claiming they are not receiving love, kindness, emotional support, connectivity, etc. So the friendship starts when the person is supporting them through their familial problems until one thing leads to another, and then the next thing they know, they're banging. This is the kind of cheater that, assuming their stories about what they're lacking at home are even true, because if they're not, they will actually fall into the third category, but assuming the stories of what they're claiming that they're missing at home is true, is missing an integration of all parts of a whole into themselves, which means they don't feel empowered to change their situation at home, or are too lost to know how to actually create meaningful change. And because of that, they continue to look outside of themselves and to an external source of support instead of to turning within and empowering themselves to create the actual meaningful change they need to create a long-lasting and meaningful partnership with their significant other. So this is a person that is lacking, if you will, a full integration. And thus, this type will be an anxious attachment style. Now, here are some notable examples of the emotional kind of cheater. The first example is Jesse James and Sandra Bullock. Now, Jesse James was a successful motorcycle maker. I think he even had his own reality TV show. And he was married to a very famous actress by the name of Sandra Bullock. And their cheating scandal had actually been revealed just days after she had won her Academy Award. So, what was shown to me, or the 3D information about the cheating, is that Jesse James had also cheated with a woman that was very heavily tattooed. Now, the behind the veil reason for why Jesse James actually cheated on Sandra Bullock was because of his own self-worth issues and feeling like he wasn't good enough to be with her. He did not feel at home in the Hollywood industry or around her friends, and this was severely exacerbated by her being nominated for an Academy Award, because he was now married to an Academy Award nominated actress, and the odds were heavily in her favor that she was actually going to win. And who was he? In his mind, he was just a motorcycle maker. So he felt not up to par with her, not up to par with being with her, and especially when he looked at the other men in the industry and how good looking they were. So he just felt lost. So instead of working on his own issues and calling back all parts of himself so that he could level up and grow to be the man that he wanted to be, it was just easier to cheat. So he did. So here's also the notable thing. His choice in who his cheating partner was, a very heavily tatted woman, is a reflection of who he felt most aligned with. Not a glamorous celebrity such as a Sandra Bullock, but a more, if you will, rough and tumble kind of a woman that's going to adorn her body, not with like lotions and potions and creams and designer gowns to walk on a red carpet event, but a woman that is going to represent who she is internally through external manifestations of being heavily tattooed. And this is due to the fact that he felt like a fraud in his life and he was wanting to be found out as said fraud. So this was actually shown to me as a case of being a self-fulfilling prophecy. He always thought that Sandra was going to find him out one day and divorce him once she realized what a fraud he was in her life, because he felt like he couldn't level up with those kinds of people. So he actually had brought it on himself. Now I have another example of an emotional cheater. Eddie Cibrian and Leanne Rimes. Now these two met when they were filming together a made-for-TV movie. Now at the time, both Eddie and Leanne were married to other people. Eddie was married to a woman by the name of Brandy Glanville, and they had 2 young sons together. Leanne was married to her backup dancer, a man by the name of, I have it somewhere. Dean, I can't see it right now. Dean Charamet, oh, here we go. I found her on the next page. Dean Charamet, or Charmet, her backup dancer. So they both cheated on their partners. Now, this is what was shown to me about why, and we're going to talk about Leanne later on in the portion where we talk about why women cheat. But here we're just going to be exploring why Eddie had actually cheated on Brandy. Now, Eddie was shown to me as always feeling like something was missing with his wife, Brandy Glanville. Sure, they had sexual chemistry, but he was always looking for more from her, because she was, in his eyes, a little vapid and a little bit of a fame whore, and he wanted her to be more settled and more introspective and to communicate more. But she didn't. So when Eddie met Leanne, what attracted him to her was her mind. She's quite intelligent, and they had truly great conversations, and the sex was just a bonus. Because she seemed to be everything he was looking for, but she also happened to have not been his wife. And whoops, he was still married to Brandy Glanville. These two are still together over a decade later. So there is some sort of glue that is holding these two together that he did not have with Brandy. And that is the fact that he was looking for a more introspective woman. So instead of trying to meet Brandy where she was and connecting with her there, or maybe even taking the time to really get to know her before they had gotten married to see if they were going to be compatible long term, he had cheated because he wasn't getting what he needed, or what he had perceived that he wasn't getting at home. But again, it wasn't sex, because according to him, the sex that he had with Leanne was a bonus. He wasn't actually getting a meeting of the minds because he was incongruent with the woman he had married, Brandy Glanville. I got one more example for you on an emotional cheater. This is where a director by the name of Rupert Sanders cheated with his young co-star, a woman by the name of Kristen Stewart. Okay. And we will be talking about, when we're exploring why women cheat a little bit later on, I'm going to be breaking down why Kristen actually had cheated on Robert Pattinson, who she was dating at the time. And can we just pause for a moment and can we just say, she cheated on Robert Pattinson. Girl, if you were tired with him, you just could have sent him my way. I would have been perfectly happy to have taken him from you, but no. So, however, why did Rupert cheat on his wife? He was married to a woman by the name of Liberty Ross. Now, what was shown to me is that Rupert had a perfectly nice life, if not a boring life. And this is because he was married to a woman named Liberty Ross, who was a model and a mom, and I think they had 2 young kids at home as well. So yes, he had a perfectly nice, if not boring life, but Liberty, his wife, didn't get the industry because she wasn't in it. She was a former model and now stay-at-home mom. And he had tried to talk to her about the industry, but she was always busy with her life. This is according to him, not me. According to him, she was always busy with her life and their kids or her friends, and he felt there was no one to really talk to at home about his work. And then he met Kristen Stewart, and they were to be working together. And Kristen was shown to me through his eyes as being incredibly bright and imaginative, and she had all sorts of ideas about the character that she was going to be playing. Kristen Stewart was young, not, again, according to Rupert, saddled down with young kids, and she had exciting energy, and he loved being in and around her energy with her, and felt like that was all missing as soon as he went home. So congratulations, Rupert. After that, he blew up his life and he had no more wife nor kids to go home to, because after the scandal had broke, rather magnificently, I will say, where paparazzos had caught them meeting on the side of a road, I kid you not. Like they literally had pulled over at like a rest stop somewhere in Hollywood, got out of the car and they started making out on the side of the road, where the paparazzos were having a field day capturing all of this. That shit broke the internet once it hit all of the magazines and imploded both of their lives. Liberty left Rupert. Kristen ended up, I think, reconciling with Robert for some period later before they ultimately had broke up. So he had broken it. Wow. I mean, I remember this big time. Like, it literally broke the internet. People were literally like, she cheated on fucking Robert Pattinson? Why? We go there, I promise. This is about Rupert. So from Rupert's perspective, what was missing was being at home or having a partner at home that got the industry that he was in, where he could come home at the end of the day and he could unpack everything with her. He wasn't getting it with Liberty, he was getting it with Kristen. Kristen was in the industry. So it was, again, like a great meeting of the minds, and then the sex was just bonus. Emotional cheating. The sex that they have with the person they're having an affair with is just a bonus. It's not the actual driving, motivating force. That is what I have for you on the emotional cheating. Emotional cheaters. The next kind of cheater that there is, or the third kind of behind the veil component, is the so-called mind fucker. Now they're shown to me, or actually this kind of a cheater is shown to me. The best example of this kind of a cheater is depicted in a movie called In the Company of Men. Now this is not a new movie. This movie I think must have come out, I'm gonna say at least over 10 years ago, if not even 15 years ago. And the premise of this movie is that there's 2 businessmen that meet on a 6-week corporate event where they're in a different location than the location that they live in. And I actually wrote this down because I had seen it so long ago. So there's two men that are away on a business trip, and they devise a plan to exact revenge on women for their past hurts that had been enacted on them by women in their own life. So they seek out a woman to romance and then dump. And what ends up happening, though, is they both end up seeking out the same woman. One man actually ends up falling in love with the woman that they seek to romance and then dump. One of them doesn't fall in love with her. So they both end up dating her. One falls in love with her and one does not. And the one that actually doesn't fall in love with her and dumps her and causes a deep wounding onto her, the crazy spin is that he actually was in a committed relationship at home. And he had a live-in girlfriend at home. So who was he mind-fucking with? Was he mind-fucking with the woman that he had a relationship with when he was away on business? Was he mind-fucking the other guy? Was he mind-fucking his live-in girlfriend? There's like so much to unpack here. But the whole engagement that he, not like where they were actually engaged, the whole sexual engagement he had with that woman was a complete sham. Meanwhile, the other guy actually fell in love with this woman. And she found out about this being a sham and she broke it off with him. So who is really being mind-fucked? This kind of cheater will in fact cheat for either relieving boredom or just to play with people. The sex is almost a complete afterthought because the goal may be in fact just the seduction, the challenge to conquer the person. So it might even be where this is the kind of person that's going to pursue somebody that's maybe even married with the intention of getting that person that is married to cheat with them. Because the goal is to conquer that person. They're a mindfucker. This type of cheater may in fact just be missing a conscience, or at the very least, any sort of an internal regulation system. They are probably also the most dangerous type of cheater because it's not in terms of physical safety, but it is certainly in terms of emotional safety that one may experience at their hands. Now let's look at two such notable examples of the mindfucker cheater. So, the first one was shown to me as being Jude Law and Sienna Miller. These two also broke the internet a great number of years ago because Jude Law, at the time that he had cheated on Sienna Miller, was divorced and he had, I believe, 3 children with his first wife. And he was dating a very, very beautiful, lovely actress by the name of Sienna Miller. And while he was dating her, it was revealed that he was actually cheating on Sienna with his children's nanny. Let's explore why that was the case. So June was shown to me as being bored and needing constant stimulation and entertainment. He lacked the ability to self-regulate himself, so if Sienna wasn't around, he'd fuck with whoever was. And in some cases, it was just the kid's nanny. So it wasn't about the sex per se, but the temporary relief it provided him from his boredom. Since he was running away from himself and his own unresolved wounds and trauma, he always needed a distraction, and women were in fact a great distraction. What was also shown to me about Jude Law and this whole cheating scandal is that he did not feel remorse other than the remorse of actually getting caught. He had no remorse for the fact that he had cheated on his partner at that time, Sienna Miller. He only felt remorse that he got caught cheating on her. Now, the next most notable example of the mindfucker was shown to me as a man named Peter Cook, who had cheated on his then wife, Christy Brinkley. Holy fucking hell. Another case that broke the internet. Honestly, all of these broke the internet. That's why they're so notable, and that's why I chose to look into them. So what was shown to me, in case you don't know, first and foremost, Christy Brinkley, a former supermodel. Very like all-American looking, blonde hair, blue eyes, healthy looking, woman. She, I think Peter Cook was her third husband, and she had children with all of her husbands. And he cheated on her with his then teenage assistant. Let's see why he cheated. Peter was shown to me as being a bit of a mess with self-worth issues. And he also despised how Christy seemed to be able to be it all and able to do it all, because she was juggling a lot. She still had her career, she had her household, she had her children, she was doing it all. So he was actually shown to me as being deeply jealous of her, and deep down, the cheating was actually designed to punish her and to get back at her. Mindfucker. A motherfucker, mindfucker. And he was trying to get back at her because Peter could not measure in his mind up to her. Self-worth issues. So he was shown to me as lacking the ability to regulate himself and his own emotions, and therefore he tended to act out rather inappropriately. And sometimes his acting out included cheating. So he was a mindfucker, a motherfuckering mindfucker, because he could not regulate his own internal emotions and the way that he felt being married to a woman that through his own internal lens seemed to be able to do it all, have it all, and juggle it all. So he sought to punish her by cheating with his teenage assistant. Those are the examples that I have for you on why men cheat. Now we're going to be exploring why women cheat. Because this video is about infidelity. It's not just about why men cheat, it's about why women cheat too, because they do. Maybe it's not as high a percentage as what we perceive men to be cheating for, but they do cheat. Let's see why they cheat. So what was shown to me about the reason that women cheat is that they are out of alignment with their divine feminine energy. It has either been siphoned off of them, thus leaving them depleted of their own divine feminine energy and porously open to external and perhaps male influences, which they will then take on, or because they are not in touch with it, and that can perhaps be due to conditioning or programming. So let's break this down. So women may be told through programming, such as the overproliferation of dating sites, that women can do it all and they can be it all and they can do it just like men can. So they're going to maybe be going on those apps looking for the next hookup, and that's throwing them out of their divine feminine, because as I have spoken in a great number of previous videos, which I will link some of them down below, sex, the act of sex, is an energetic exchange of the feminine energies and the masculine energies. But because the way that the anatomy is different for men and women, and men are inserting their phallus into a woman. They're inserting their penis into a woman's vagina. So women's energy are meant to be receptive because we are the receivers of the male appendage. When men do engage in sexual intercourse with a woman, they are inserting themselves into her, and they are therefore thus leaving a piece of their energy with the woman, and they are also then therefore siphoning a piece of the woman's energy off of them. So they are taking some of the divine feminine with them, and they are leaving a piece of the divine masculine inside of them. But when this is not done in a monogamous relationship, where it's only the divine exchange of masculine and feminine energies with one partner, and it's done with a repeated number of partners, it's actually going to lead the woman's energy to be feeling more energetically coarse and porous, because on a constant basis, it's not an energetic exchange any longer, it's an energetic siphoning, because their energetic divine feminine energy is being taken out of them. And what's being replaced is the masculine energy. So they may then therefore start to represent and show up as a woman that acts or may behave in a way that is more masculine. Because it's not a divine energetic exchange any longer. Because when it's with one partner, the energy goes both ways. It's like a circle, if you will. But when it's with a rotating door of partners, it's not a circle. It's a taking. So their divine feminine energy is actually being leached off of them by the male partners that they are sleeping with. So that may be first and foremost due to programming, or this idea that, oh, if men can do it, we can do it too. Or they may be, in fact, just living out of alignment and lacking the full integration of the divine feminine energy into themselves. So this can also be an example, let's say, of a woman that maybe grew up with not having stability in her life. So she felt like she had to be the caretaker for her parents. Or maybe she was being raised by a father. She had to do all of the things that the father was supposed to be doing and taking care of her. So she couldn't just relax into her divine feminine energy. So she was therefore living out of alignment with her divine feminine energy. So let's look at some examples of notable women celebrities that have cheated on their partners and how this is going to represent for them. So this is very much the case with Kristen Stewart. So we looked into why Rupert had cheated on Liberty Ross. What was Kristen's reason for cheating on, oh my fucking God, Robert Pattinson? So Kristen Stewart was shown to me as not truly living the life that she wanted to at that time. Her relationship with Robert Pattinson had taken on a life of its own. They were now celebrity it couple. It was all anybody was talking about. They were not even talking about like the movies that they had created together, right? They met, they were co-stars on the Mia names, y'all, Twilight. They had met while filming Twilight together, and then all of the subsequent follow-up movies thereafter. And then suddenly it's like the movies weren't about the movies any longer. It wasn't about the acting any longer. It was just about them. So they became larger than life, and she felt like that was detracting away from who she was at that point. So she no longer felt like she was her own person in the relationship, but she was only one half of a whole. And if you know about like these celebrity monikers that people have created where they're not, let's say they abbreviate. So like Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck became Bennifer, right? And then he was with Jennifer Lopez and it was like they were Bennifer again. So Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson became our Pats. It doesn't even make sense. I don't even know why that became a thing, but it was. She fucking hated that they were like reduced to a moniker, and it wasn't even about like the movies that they were creating. It was just about them being a celebrity it couple. So she was energetically left out of alignment, and this left her feeling even more out of her divine feminine alignment. Therefore, from that, bad decisions ensued. And bad decisions were made because she was not operating from a high vibe, but a lost and low vibe vibration. That's why she cheated, living out of alignment with her divine feminine, because she felt like she had been reduced to one half of a whole. She don't like that. Now, another example of a woman that has cheated is Jada Pinkett Smith. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith, for those of you who may not be, as if we cannot be aware of what has happened, because this has been like everywhere. Like, good the fuck luck trying to tune these two out, right? Jada Pinkett Smith is Will Smith's wife, and she wrote a book called Worthy, in which she has been doing the talk show circuits, going around blowing up their personal life for the entire world to be exposed to. So it's why she cheated on him with one of her kids' friends. Or according to her, why she cheated, right? And it was because she wasn't happy. She felt like she didn't matter. Okay. This is a woman that was living out of alignment with her divine feminine. Here's why. Jada Pinkett Smith has an overabundance of masculine energy and thus is living out of alignment with her divine feminine energy. She is the more masculine partner in the relationship. And I'm not talking about the way that she looks physically. Look at the way she has gone out and represented herself and spoken about herself and spoken about Will in the press circuit that she has done for her book. She's very almost like angry, almost like macho. But then she'll be using these words like, oh, how we are in a better place now. And it's like so organic and it's so like beautiful and it's so, but she's not talking about it soft and talking about it like gentle and lovingly. She's like, we are in such a organically better place because of all of this. It's like she has to feel, it's almost like she feels she has to prove to everybody that they're in a better place because of her strength. I think that does protest too much. So she is more akin to the male in the relationship, while Will is more akin to the female in the relationship. He is much more softer and gentler and empathic. Like he went on her show, the red, what's it called? The red round table or something like that, or like the red carpet or something, which is her show where she talks about various things that matter to her. He went on the show, like, I don't know if I was the only one watching this. I wanted to like give him a hug. Like he seemed so devastated talking about Jada's infidelity. He seemed broken by it. Look at his body language. He just seemed broken. And he seemed energetically porous and like he was wounded because of this. And he had gone onto her show to talk about this with her because he was the empathic partner and he knew that this meant something to her. But Jada, being out of alignment with her divine feminine, did not understand how subjugating Will to that was going to further wound him, just like her cheating on him had wounded him. Living out of her divine feminine energy. Now, let's explore why LeAnn Rimes had cheated on her husband, Dean Charamet, with Eddie Cibrian. So LeAnn Rimes, too, was the more masculine partner in her relationship with Dean Charamet, or however you pronounce his name, Charamet, I don't know. Now, Dean Charamet was, at the time that they had met, her backup dancer. And if you look at photos of them, you can see Eddie is more soft in comparison to LeAnn. So when LeAnn met Eddie and he oozed with masculinity, it immediately felt right to her, and she immediately felt like she was at home with him. Because this allowed her to, in fact, embrace her feminine energy and relax into it, because this is something that she didn't have at home with at home with Dean. Dean was the more feminine partner in terms of his energy, and therefore LeAnn had to actually be the more masculine energy in the household. So when she met Eddie, she could relax into being the woman again. Now, I'm also going to comment on the person that set us down this entire rabbit hole to begin with, Ariana Grande. Because as we have explored in the AMA where I had looked into her, she was married and she started an extramarital affair with her co-star, a man named Ethan Slater. And to make matters worse, they had gotten involved shortly after Ethan Slater's own wife had had a baby. Now, strangely enough, do what I did. Go look at pictures of Ethan Slater and his wife. Because she actually looks like she's his older sister. I kid you not. Please go look at pictures of the two of them. Maybe I'll even use it as the thumbnail photo. Ethan's wife looks like she is his older sister because she is, first of all, significantly taller than him, and she's overall more mature looking than him. Ethan Slater, is quite scrawny, and he is on the short side and not at all masculine looking. Like, if Ethan Slater was at my side and I was about to get into a bar fight, I would push him out of the way and I would defend myself. Because that mofo, he would go down. If he was given like a dirty look, he would probably get so scared that he would just run away. That is not a man that has any level of masculine energy that's going to be able to defend a woman. So, as we discussed in the video on Ariana Grande, Ariana, has real untreated mental health concerns and battles her own demons. So her energy has continuously been siphoned off of her. So she is therefore living woefully out of alignment and lost to herself. Thus, none of her partners are a true reflection of her and of herself, or of her preferences, and they're certainly not going to resemble any healthy, loving, and supportive partnership. So until she gets the help she actually needs, she was shown to me as actually continuing to land in any number of weird partnerings, as they are actually a reflection of her own internal state. And because Ariana is so out of alignment with any level of empowerment within herself, any partnership that she's going to get into is going to be with somebody that is in some way, shape, or form out of their own energetic alignment. So this is what I have for you guys today on infidelity, why both men and women cheat, as well as the different examples that I have brought forth to you. I hope that you have found this video to be interesting or insightful, maybe even thought-provoking. And again, if you want to disagree, please feel free to in the comments down below, as long as the comments are high vibe and respectful. And with that in mind, please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And as always, and until next time, stay in the high vibration.